It's not looking good for gaming laptops with NVIDIA's new RTX 50 series graphics.
Actually, there's still 2 months until RTX 50 series laptops come out.
True, but reviews of the desktop versions are already out, and we can use those to get a rough idea of what to expect when it comes to gaming laptop performance. Steve from Hardware Unboxed has shown that the RTX 5090 desktop card is just 12% faster than the desktop RTX 4090 in a 17-game average at 1440p without ray tracing, or 17% faster in a 5-game average with ray tracing enabled. The biggest difference was seen at 4K, where the 5090 was 27% faster in a 17-game average without ray tracing. Cool, so almost 30% faster at 4K. But there's a problem. The desktop RTX 5090 has 33% more CUDA cores than the 4090, can use 28% more power, and has 33% more VRAM capacity, while also using faster GDDR7 memory. So that best case near 30% FPS improvement we were seeing at 4K, it's scaling linearly based on the extra CUDA cores and extra GPU power. And this is where things start falling apart for gaming laptops. The laptop RTX 5090 has an 8% increase in CUDA cores compared to the laptop 4090, but both have the same maximum GPU power limit of 150 watts without dynamic boost, or 175 watts with dynamic boost. So not only is the 8% increase to CUDA cores much less than the 33% gap seen on the desktop cards, but the laptop GPUs are not getting the power increase. Which makes sense, as laptops are way more limited when it comes to cooling capacity. Now, the laptop 5090 also has faster GDDR7 memory like the desktop card, but the laptop 5090 has a larger 50% increase to total VRAM capacity compared to the 4090, which may help in some extreme scenarios. Based on this, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the laptop RTX 5090 is around 10% faster compared to the laptop RTX 4090, a fairly small generational improvement. But what about the price difference? According to NVIDIA, RTX 5090 gaming laptops will start from $2,899 US. Best Buy already has a couple of models listed as coming soon, and they cost way more than that as they are higher end models. We've got the Asus Scar 18 for $4,200 and the Zephyrus G16 for $4,000. But a last gen Scar 18 with RTX 4090 goes for $3,684 on sale, meaning the newer 5090 version costs 14% more money. Meanwhile, a 4090 Zephyrus G16 goes for $3,300, making the newer 5090 version 21% more expensive. So 14 to 21% more money for, if I had to guess, maybe a 10% boost to average FPS. Of course, newer laptops like the Scar 18 also have plenty of other new features that might be worth the extra price, like the easier upgradability, for example. I've already covered all of the new Asus gaming laptops coming out this year in this video, but things get worse for the RTX 5080. On the desktop side, the 17-game average from Hardware Unboxed at 1440p put the RTX 5080 desktop card just 6.5% faster compared to the RTX 4080 desktop card, and about the same difference with ray tracing enabled in their 6-game average. There was a larger 14% higher average frame rate in the 17-game average at 4K without ray tracing, and a similar margin with ray tracing enabled. So basically, the desktop RTX 5080 is less than 7% faster than the desktop RTX 4080 at 1440p, or 14% faster at 4K. But the desktop 5080 has 10.5% more CUDA cores than the desktop 4080, and the same 16 gigs of VRAM capacity. Granted, the 5080 uses faster GDDR7 memory. The desktop 5080 can also use 12.5% more power based on the specs. However, Hardware Unboxed found that it used less power in games, so that's something. But things look much worse for the laptop versions. The laptop RTX 5080 only has 3.5% more CUDA cores compared to the laptop 4080, and they both have the same maximum GPU power limit of 150 watts without dynamic boost, or 175 watts with dynamic boost. Again, the laptop 5080 also has faster GDDR7 memory like the desktop card, and the laptop 5080 has 33% more VRAM capacity compared to the laptop 4080, whereas the desktop versions both have the same 16 gig capacity. So it's really going to depend depend on how much of an edge that faster GDDR7 memory gives the 5080, because a 3.5% boost to CUDA cores and same GPU power limits isn't going to make much of a difference. But having 16 gigs of VRAM compared to 12 gigs will be useful in modern games at higher resolutions. But in terms of raw FPS, it's not looking good for the RTX 5080 laptop GPU. As for price difference, according to NVIDIA, RTX 5080 gaming laptops will start from $2,199 US. Again, Best Buy has some laptops already listed, and once more, they're a fair bit higher than NVIDIA's base price. Asus's Strix G18 with RTX 5080 is going for $2,900, while the RTX 4080 version is $700 less, making the newer 5080 version 32% more expensive. 32% more money for, if I had to guess, maybe a 5% boost to FPS in games doesn't really seem like great value, even if we're more generous and assume a 10% FPS boost from some bonus power efficiencies that are possible with Blackwell. You could still just get an RTX 4090 laptop for less than this, and it would probably perform fairly similarly, if not better, considering based on my own testing, the RTX 4090 is like 15% faster than the 4080 in games. And then things are looking even worse for the RTX 5070. RTX 4070 and RTX 5070 laptop GPUs have the same amount of CUDA cores, the same 8 gigs of VRAM capacity. Granted, the 5070 does use faster GDDR7 memory, while the 5070 actually has a lower maximum GPU power limit. Now, the 4070 only runs at about 100 watts when running most games anyway, so they might actually end up being pretty similar in practice, despite the power limit differences listed on the spec sheets. NVIDIA says RTX 5070 laptops will start from $1,299, while Best Buy right now only has Asus's premium Zephyrus G16 listed at $2,000. That's actually the same price as the last gen model, at least when not on sale, because we have seen it go on sale for as low as $1,400 last year. When it was available, I shared that deal on the gaminglaptop.deals website. Check it out regularly with the link below so you don't miss out on saving money on your next gaming laptop. Based on the RTX 5070 laptop GPU having the same CUDA core count and potentially lower power limit as the RTX 4070, I'm not expecting the laptop 5070 to be that much better when it comes to gaming, at least when not factoring in NVIDIA's new DLSS 4 multi-frame generation. Though, as Tim from Hardware Unboxed recently demonstrated, just like the OG frame gen, without a high enough base frame rate, the newer multi-frame gen is not a silver bullet. And the fact is, with gaming laptop hardware, it's just harder for us to get that higher base frame rate compared to desktops. But we might see some battery life improvements with the RTX 50 series. NVIDIA are claiming up to 40% improvements compared to last gen, and while that won't change my opinion that gaming on battery power should be avoided if possible, if it's accurate, then it would certainly go a fair way in increasing runtime while gaming on battery power. So then, should you buy a last-gen RTX 40 series gaming laptop, or wait just a little bit longer for the 50 series? If you don't care about gaming on battery power, you aren't interested in multi-frame generation, and you're okay with not having the extra VRAM capacity at the higher end, then it's looking like you could definitely save some money by buying a last-gen RTX 40 series gaming laptop. When the 40 series first launched, it took 6+ months before we started seeing decent sales. So if you have to wait around 6 months once 50 series laptops come out in March, that takes you to around September, back to school sales sort of time frame. If you can't wait that long for a good deal, we're still listing plenty of sales on the gaminglaptop.deals website. The link is below. So at the end of the day, based on what we're seeing with the desktop 50 series graphics cards, we're not getting that much of a boost in terms of rasterization performance. Even ray tracing performance doesn't seem to get that much better either. And based on the specs of the laptop GPUs, I'm expecting to see an even smaller difference between 40 series and 50 series, which is quite unfortunate given 40 series has been out for more than 2 years now. But we'll know for sure in around 2 months or so when I can actually test them. Who knows, maybe they'll end up surprising us. Make sure that you're subscribed for all of my comparisons. Until then, you can check out all the new 2025 gaming laptops coming out this year. There are actually some nice improvements that aren't related to the GPU, so I'll see you in that one next.